security is applied in layers. I use an example like, I have a car example that I use, and I'll read that to you real quick and kind of go back over it. Let's pretend it's 3 in the morning. It's downtown Detroit, and there's 3 cars. Car number 1 is parked on the street, the doors are unlocked, the keys are in the ignition, and there's $100,000 in cash sitting in the back seat, visibly. Car number 2 is parked in a driveway, the doors are locked, the keys are on the seat, and again, $100,000 cash in the back seat. Now, car number 3 is parked in a locked garage with cameras and an armed alarm system. The doors are locked, there's no keys, there's $100,000, but it's hidden in a compartment in the dash behind the stereo. The car also has an alarm and is armed, plus it has a fingerprint reader to open the door, and it has bulletproof glass. So here's 3 levels of security. One, with the doors are unlocked, the keys are in the ignition. Obviously, that's low-hanging fruit. A thief is going to go for that car first. The second car, the doors are locked, but the keys are sitting on the seat, and you can easily see the $100,000 in cash on the back seat. So we're just going to break the glass, grab the keys, and either take off with the car, or we're going to steal the cash and run away. Now, car number 3 has layers of security. It's locked in the garage. The garage has cameras. The garage has an alarm. The car has an alarm. The head takes a fingerprint to get into the car. Now, the thief is going to go for the first car first of all. The second car, well, maybe if the car number 1's not there, we're going to go for number 2. Car number 3, well, maybe we'll think twice or we'll go somewhere else. Because there's so many layers of security to get through, it's going to either take too much time, or it's going to be too loud, or the police are going to come. We have the layered security approach that's keeping that car safe. And the same goes for your computer. We have an antivirus and maybe an anti-malware software. We also have what's called a threat detection software that monitors not only viruses or malware, but also threats that might get through the typical anti-malware or antivirus, that kind of thing. So when we talk about security, we talk about a layered approach. There's enough layers so that will deter that person from trying to either take over your computer or steal your information or something like that. But we also don't want to go too far where take the car number 3, for example. You've got to unlock the garage, you've got to disarm the garage, and you've got to disarm the alarm on the car, and then you've got to find the key, and then there's all these steps that you got to get to just to drive the car. So security is that balance. We want to have as many layers as possible so that the threat doesn't come through, but also not so many layers as to where you can't use your computer because there's so much protection and it's so locked down that you actually can't use your computer because nothing works because we've got it locked down so hard. So we would try to take a balanced approach with enough layers so that you're protected well enough, but not so much that it hinders your productivity. Now, the problem with just having a single layer of protection is Windows Defender, for example, is a very popular antivirus. And there's nothing wrong with Windows Defender, but we want another layer on top of that and another layer on top of that. So hopefully that person is deterred from taking over your computer or stealing your information, that type of thing. Threat monitoring software will monitor your computer for suspicious activity, something that your computer is doing that doesn't seem quite right, that is out of the normal bounds, out of what it normally should be doing, and something suspicious that maybe this program is not supposed to be able to talk to this program, but for some reason they're talking in the background, and it's suspicious. So it'll stop that activity or at least warn you of that activity. And it really goes beyond a level of antivirus or anti-malware because typically what the threat actors will do is they know how the anti-malware and antivirus programs work. And sometimes they'll use that to an advantage. They'll use let's say a program like Box.com or any program really, and it will try to emulate that program and try to act like that program so that the antivirus says, oh, well, we know that program and that program's okay. It'll try to emulate that program and use that as its way to get into the software. Now, threat management will We'll monitor all of that, but we'll also go a step further and look for suspicious activity outside that, maybe even regular programs that are trusted programs. Maybe they're acting in such a way that's not normal. The threat monitoring just takes the antivirus and anti-malware and takes it one step further to detect and eradicate those threats. Restarting your computer is a great way to reset things. Typically when a technician will call, and you call a technician and you're asking for help, usually one of the first things they'll ask you is, did you reboot the computer? Restarting the computer does just what it says. It restarts the computer and resets a lot of the processes. It starts the programs completely over from scratch in case maybe one's lagging or it's hanging on and running in the background where you can't see it or you can't get to it. Restarting the computer resets the computer. Now, as of recently, the latest updates in Windows 10 have changed a few things, and a lot of people don't realize that it used to be when you had your computer and you shut down your computer, where it actually physically shut the computer off, and then you started it back up, that would also be restarting the computer or rebooting the computer. Recently, Windows 10 has a new feature called Fast Boot, and the problem with Fast Boot is, well, the great thing about Fast Boot, it does just what it says. It makes your computer boot nice and fast, which everybody likes. The problem is, when it shuts down your computer for Fast Boot, it doesn't actually shut down. It just pauses the program and pauses the computer where it's at, and then looks like it shuts down the computer. But in actuality, when you press that power button again in Fast Boot, it just unpauses the computer. So it still might have those issues lingering. So with that being said, you want to restart your computer, not just shut it down. So even if you shut it down and turn it back on, I would still restart the computer, and that will completely reset it and start from zero. Another reason to restart your computer is every second Tuesday of the month, Microsoft pushes out patches. These patches are for security updates. There's security holes in the program. And every single month, there's new threats that can get into these vulnerabilities. And so Windows is trying to patch these vulnerabilities. People don't realize that you want to keep your computer up to date as much as possible and reboot as much as possible, because that's when these patches are applied. So for myself, I like a nice, clean computer when I come in the morning. The first thing what I'll do when I walk in is I will reboot my computer, walk out, get some coffee, come back to my office, and I know I'm starting with a clean slate in the morning. There's no residual programs running. There's no question that when I come in here in the morning and I start my computer, restart my computer, it's fresh and ready to go. Windows 11 is a great new operating system. We have beta tested it here. We're running on a few of our computers. I'm running on my present computer now. It does look a little different. It feels different. It can be a little frustrating because there's some things that are moved that you're used to going to that are in different places. As they go along, Windows 11 is getting more secure. Windows 10 is very secure. Windows 11 is taking that next step. Now the question is, should you update to Windows 11? Well, that depends on who you are and what you're doing. If you have a computer at home and you just want the latest and greatest thing to play around with, yeah, Windows 11, it's great. Now, I will tell you that Windows 11 does have some requirements. They require you to have a newer computer with what they call a TPM chip or a TPM 2.0. There's different versions. A TPM chip is on your motherboard. Basically, it has to do with the encryption of your hard drive and the information on your computer. Windows 8 is requiring that to upgrade to Windows 8. Now, so as far as that's concerned, let's look at the business case use for Windows 11. As far as businesses go, the biggest concern I would have with Windows 11 is to make sure that all of your programs are compatible with Windows 11 before you upgrade. With that being said, my experience with what I've done so far, I have not found a program that's not compatible with Windows 11 that is of a recent program. I'd say in the last 5 years. If your program's within the last 5 years, it's pretty much compatible with Windows 11. Now, there's always exceptions to that rule. And in a business case, usually I wouldn't recommend upgrading to Windows 11 unless you're going to buy a new PC. Then, of course, get the latest and greatest that you can get with the newest operating system, because that's going to protect you the best. If you have any other questions, feel free to call us here at Insight Digital. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Thanks.